Welcome to Sunday Morning Live with Damien Calment. Actually, it's now called Now on Sunday because it is broadcast on the Now television network on the East Coast and parts of Europe and parts of Africa. And I have a couple of new viewers today that have contacted me this morning from Dubai and from Bangladesh, and I want to welcome them today. And just for a moment, let us take a moment just to center ourselves. You know, I'm not trying to get you to join any type of religion or any type of organization. I'm simply here to present some ideas to you that will enrich your life and help you to make decisions that you can make for yourself. Today I'm going to be talking a lot about energy and talking about shifting negative energy into a positive energy. Because, you see, energy can never be destroyed, only altered or shifted. Energy goes on, and if we have negative energy in our life, that negative energy keeps persisting unless we learn how to alter it or to shift it. For just a moment, I'm asking that you be open and that you be willing to hear something different today. Let's take a deep breath. You know, I've added candles today to the set. And one of the reasons is because personally I use a candle to bring the light into my body, into my consciousness. And last week we talked about raising your consciousness, raising your awareness, raising your frequencies. And I talked about quantum physics and how quantum physics talks a lot about the different dynamics that go on. And we're all part of each other. We're all part of a substance that is bigger than us and greater than us, and yet we make a part of it. So one of the techniques that I use to center myself that I'm going to share with you today is I have many candles, but I have this candle here. And as I look into the candle, I envision the Holy Spirit into my mind. And I envision the Holy Spirit cleaning out my mind of anything that should not be there. That enlightening my mind. Because you see, either we are enlightening and expanding, or we're stagnating in our minds. And then I envision the light of the Holy Spirit going down into my body, into my throat area, that I will speak words of love, speak words of truth, speak words of compassion. And then I envision the light of as I look into the candle, as you look into the candle, I envision the warmth, the compassion for all people in my heart, in my life. And then through the 7 basic chakras, I envision that light going down. Now it takes time to do this, and I usually do this in the morning and at night. It's a process that I work with. So today, in talking about moving negative energy into positive energy, when the mind only has limited data, it has no choice but to work with the data that it has. Our beliefs, our conditioned perceptions that we have that are built on old memories. Some of those memories are pain, some of them are pleasure, and these memories are based on how we have interpreted events and how we've internalized them and emotionalized them in our emotions, which is through here. And throughout our life, we've collected things that are facts. We've collected sometimes false evidence that appears to be real. We call it fear. And references that help us to form our idea of what reality really is. And over our lifetime, these beliefs are so ingrained within our nervous system, our physiology, they're ingrained within our nervous system to the point that we repeat situations over and over and over and over, so that we remove and we legitimize that the belief that we have is really a true belief, when sometimes we don't. Sometimes people look at things and say, well, you have to go on blind faith. Well, yeah, I used to do that. I kind of gave that up, and I started going on evidence now. A lot of my what I teach is on scientific evidence. When I talk about God, I'm not talking about the religious God. I'm talking about source and what we came from, and energy. And energy, all energy has to take some kind of form. And when there's no available reference to lay down a foundation for belief, then people turn to this blind faith kind of thing, because they desperately want to believe something, and they'll ignore the facts of a situation, and they'll use their own imagination to help create a reference that they need to help support their belief. Hello, do we need to have a reference on this from 2 weeks ago at the Capitol of what happened? Those people firmly believed that they were doing right. And the thing is, our nervous system, the neutrons, the protons, the atoms, the neurons in us, it doesn't make things easier for us, because the beliefs that we have become so powerful, and the negative ones that have become so powerful that they register a negative stimuli in us. And the more that we dwell on that negative stimuli, the more negative we become in our person. Now, I know that you have experienced, because all of us have, that you'll be in a room and a person simply walk in the room and bingo bango, the whole room becomes negative just because of their energy that's there. How did that happen? That's the energy they're carrying with them. That's in their nervous system. That's in their bones. And I'm not going to talk a lot about changing another person's energy, as I am today going to talk about you changing your energy. Now, let me say this. We in New Age movement and positive thinking throw out all these, well, you just have to think positive. Think positive, think positive. And I'm not against thinking positive thoughts, except this. The problem with positive affirmations is that when they operate just on a surface level, that we're just saying them, they operate on the conscious level that we're just saying, and they've done nothing to sink into our subconscious, then these positive affirmations backfire on us, because our body tells us they're not true. So we have to believe what we're saying at a deep emotional level. So to effectively do this, say that you would be saying, I am beautiful. I am talented. I am whatever it would be. Now, if you're just saying those things out, right? Now, even let's go with sobriety, since I've dealt a lot with people that are in addiction. I am sober. And if you're saying those things and just saying them, and there's not that eternal energy going with it, then they fall flat, and then you have the struggle. So the amount of emotion, and if you forget any word I have said today, get this one. Emotion. E for energy. Energy in motion. Emotion. Energy in motion is called emotion. And the emotion and the thought that we put into our beliefs over a lifetime make it virtually indestructible, these beliefs. And this is why we continue in a self-sabotage behavior. So we might want to rework some of those talks that we're giving ourselves, positive talks, like, for instance, I am a work in progress, and that's okay. That's a lot easier on us and a lot on ourselves. So the mind only deals in the realm of relativity. You say, what are you saying? We are a combination of a body, a soul, and a mind. We're one. We're not just a body. We're not just a mind. We're not just a soul. Now, last week I told you that the researchers have said that 60,000 thoughts run through our mind every day. Some of us, our mind runs away and it's more than that. But 60,000 thoughts are running through our mind. And the mind begins to get jumbled up and be like a monkey mind. You're thinking this, and all of a sudden you're thinking over here, and you can't think clear, and you're over here, and you're over here, and you jump, like on a trampoline. You know, I've said this before, but fear is fiction. And the only place that fear can be activated is in your mind. But because our mind controls our body, once we begin to look at our fear being in our mind and it telling us that we have fear, then our body begins to act on what our mind is telling us. But how do we short circuit that? The soul part of us is the eternal part of us and works in the realms of all eternal. Everything that is eternal. We always have been, always will be, and so it is. So how do we get to the place that we expand our mind? We begin to educate our mind for one thing, you know, because our mind has been on either survive or evolve. Now, it's not a secret, but and I'm just talking about me, I read at least 2 books a week. I'm constantly learning, because I understand that the first step to changing anything is to become aware of it and accept responsibility for it. And once I become aware of it, then I'm able to make decisions on it. So one of the things, and I'm going to make this a little exercise for you that I do, is an attitude of gratitude first thing in the morning will short circuit the negativity in your mind. Find one single thing that you can be grateful for. Maybe it's that it's not raining in the ceiling. Maybe if you're outside and you're in a doorway and you're sleeping, at least you're sleeping in that doorway. Find one single thing that you can be grateful for in this moment. Because the only time that we can change anything is in the now, right now, in this moment. But how do we do that when our mind's running away from us? And how do we shift the consciousness from a negative to a positive? It's through our breath. Now you've heard me talk about God, not religious God, but God source. Some of you want to call God a higher power. Some of you want to call God Allah. You know, some of you want to call God various things, but God is the source. And we all agree that God is love. And love is what we came from. And love is who we really are. There is no way to love. Love is the way. There is no way to peace. Peace is the way. And there's no way to happiness, because happiness is the way. But how do we connect with that in our life? no matter where you're at work, at home, in the grocery line, you can do this. In, out. In, smile. In, smile. And then after you begin to do that, you can do in, calm, out, smile. And as you smile, the muscles in your face begin to relax. It's like an instant facelift. In, calmness, out, smile. You don't even have to say anything, just in your mind, you can stand there and do it. And as you begin to do that, what happens is you begin to connect your mind with your spirit, which is breath, which connects to the body, which gives you an attitudinal adjustment. You short circuit what your mind is thinking, and it goes right to what the soul is thinking. And you stop and you go, is what I'm doing out of love? And if the answer is no, breathe in love. Is what I'm doing out of judgment? Am I judging? Am I guilt? Am I working out of hatred? Then you know it has nothing to do with God. God doesn't do all those things. God simply does love. Then you know you're working out of yourself, out of your own ego mind, your own ego thought. So you become aware of it and you go, peace, smile, peace, smile. You know, I've said this before, and it's been quoted by many people before too, is if there's a decision to either be right or kind, choose kindness. Choose kindness. Your consciousness, your God consciousness inside you. I mentioned this last week, that God is the greatest stem cell of the universe. Because when God made a container out of clay, you that are Christian, it says God formed mankind by the clay, by the dust of the earth. If you take that clay, then you that are Christian, that follow King James Version, other versions, it says that God blew spirit into that clay, and that clay became a living soul, a living personality, a living entity. And as I said last week, each and every single one of you and me have that stem cell, that cell of God consciousness, that molecule, that neutron, that participle of God in us. The mind doesn't realize that and only recognizes the body. But the breath, the very breath, you know, when you get into a tight situation and you hyperventilate, you cut off your breath. That's the very breath and essence of the Godness in you. Learn how to breathe through the situation. You know, we talk about our thinking, right? You that are in addiction, hello? It's your own thinking, your best thinking, your very, very, very best thinking that got you into that mess. And Einstein said this, the same thinking that got us into the problem cannot be the same thinking that gets us out of the problem. And I'll repeat what I said last week about meditation. I didn't say this, but meditation is not for you to lose your mind. It's for you to learn how to use your mind. And sometimes people have said to me, Damien, you know what? You're out of your mind the way that you live. And it's true. It's true. I want to be out of my mind and let Spirit begin to move me from my heart consciousness. Do you know, there's an institute in Santa Cruz called the HeartMath Institute. And the researchers have found that the heart has a brain, just like our head has a brain. And the researchers have found that there are many more neutrons that go from the heart brain to our head brain than come from the head brain to the heart brain. So if I can begin to stop where I'm at, because the only time you can change anything is now. The only time you can be sober is now. The only time you can be helpful is now. The only time you can show kindness is now. It's not that, you know, I get amazed with people, especially in addiction. They say, well, I slipped. And I say, and what did you do? They said, well, I continued just to use for the day because I would start the next day. No. You always have now. You slip and fall, you start over now. Now is the time. The power of now. You stop and you say, now, let me connect the dots. Let me connect with that God consciousness that is within me. Let me connect with my God consciousness, my higher power, and really consciously make a decision that I turn my life over to this power that is greater than me, and yet that I'm a part of because of the stem cell that God has put within me. And within each of us, whether you call it Manitou, whether you call it Allah, whether you call it God, whether you call it Jehovah, whether you call it Krishna, it's the God consciousness that's within you that makes the difference. So how do you shift? You shift it through your breath. You're standing in a situation where there's negativity all around you. You've got the choice. Either you can be affected by it, or you can stand and you can just simply, without saying a word, begin to breathe. Kindness. And I just say smile when you exhale. Goodness. Smile when you exhale. Peace. And you smile when you exhale. You say, what, you don't say anything when you exhale? No, I just simply smile. And it's amazing how when you smile, you begin to see the godness in other people around you. You begin to see the solution in other people around you. You begin to see the Spirit. You know, there in the Zen studies, there's a story that's told of the Buddha. And the Buddha was giving this talk to about 1,200 nuns and monks. And he held up a flower. And everybody got really quiet and they were studying the flower. And this one monk that was sitting in the front, he just simply smiled. And the Buddha smiled back to him. And the Buddha said to the group, I have given this monk the knowledge of what this is about. What is this story about? We overthink in what we receive our reality to be. We overthink instead of just looking at what it is and appreciating the beauty in what it is. So in wrapping this up today, wrapping it up this way again, to say this: when your mind has limited data, it has no choice but to work within that data. So perhaps you want to expand your mind to other possibilities. Expand your mind and let your thermometer be is, you say, well, is it my own thinking that's happening here? Is it a God thinking that happens? Well, if it doesn't come from love, yes, it's your own thinking. Because all God is love. That's what God is. That's who God is. And we were to come to this planet to be the expression of God. You are to be the expression of God. But what has happened is we've forgotten who we are. You know, Marianne Williamson, who's a great teacher of mine, she says, she has said that our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're more powerful beyond measure. It's not our darkness that scares us. It's the light that scares us. And today, if you can just let the light, as we close today, and I always say this, remember, kindness is the language that the deaf can hear. Kindness is the language that the eye can see. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And as I hold this candle today, just hopefully you can see the flame. Just kind of take a look at it and ask the light of the Holy Spirit. Just let the light of the Holy Spirit come in you and through you. I often say this: God does not give to you what God does not intend to flow through you. What God gives you, He intends for you to flow through you. So today, be the light. Get lit. Let this light flow through you. Until we do another program, Damien Calmet out. Kindness, love, peace. There is no way to love. Love is the way.